today's thing. Okay, so especially yesterday I talked about some of the things related to this what you can say arithmetic operations and all those things, and actually told you can do arithmetic operations on character also. So it may sound weird ki how anyone can do arithmetic operations on just characters, and how these things is actually valid. So in programming thing, a lot of things are there, and we are going to see how what these things actually means. And we will also be looking at some different arithmetic operations and how their actually instructions get executed. So just this is the thing that we discussed tomorrow, and today we will, and we also discussed you about this particular thing, this sky values. So before starting the today's lecture, just let me tell you something that I want to convey to you. The first thing is that from after today's lecture, lecture 3, you'll be able to write a lot of codes by yourself. So actually I'm going to introduce some fundamental concept, and one of the students actually shown me a particular code, and she actually got confused with some output. So I'm going to explain those particular things also, like how actually output interpret output, like especially if you're doing some arithmetic operations. So if you're doing some arithmetic operations, how to actually interpret those output. Second thing is that the next lecture will be a problem solving class. Okay, so in that particular thing, we will be taking a lot of questions from what we have studied till now, and we will just discuss a lot of problems, like some output problems, some writing some program problem, and we will also discuss some additional questions that you have also. So means from today till today, you can just revise everything, and on the Monday class we'll have the problem solving class, and from the Tuesday we'll start from the next topic. So like in the after today's lecture, we will be starting with if else particular thing, if else that I told you about. Then we will just look towards some advanced concept related to if else, and then we will be then entering into the loop system. So like for loop and all those loop, and then some basic other commands, like there is something called switch inside the uh, C language, and some other thing. So as far as I can remember, in next 2 week we can actually wrap up the programming thing, and so this is the plan that I am following. And we then discuss 1 to 3 lectures for the data structure, particular topic to data structure, and particularly like the type of questions that is being asked. And meanwhile, from the next week also, we will be starting with this probability thing, so that we may also get about the idea about the probability thing and what those things are, because we don't have a lot of times, but we have fair enough time. And if you are just if you have just prepared something, some topics from your own, then the topics that I'm actually focusing on, that I told you in the beginning, like programming, probability, and discrete math, so these things will actually be there. So after completing these things, I think most of you are already familiar with the math thing, but we'll be also touching some topic from that particular thing. So this is our plan for the future, and we'll also be improvising some things as far as we proceed towards the course. Okay, if you have any questions or suggestions, please let me know. Okay, so let's start with the today's agenda. Okay, so like I told you, and I told you about this particular thing, this particular values I yesterday told you about. It's like a universal representation, you can say, about some characters, like A is there, capital B is there, and then some small a is there. So this is kind of universal representation. A code is actually been there, which is called ACI values, and these particular codes are like universally understood by the programmer who's actually living in any country. So these things are fairly common with the every programmer in the world. Okay, so these particular values that we have been associated with characters, actually it has some significance, and we will be utilizing this particular value, like to perform some operations among these characters. Okay, so we will see actually looking at how we can add two characters, like what this particular thing A plus B means in the programming language. So this is a valid operation, so what this particular thing means in the programming language. So now the particular thing is that whenever I'm talking about ASCII values of A, I'm referring to 65, and similarly to the others values. And let's see what these things actually means. Okay, so first of all, just a simple thing, like there is a if you let's say you want to know sky values of any particular character. So let's say there is a capital A, and if you want to know the sky values of particular character A, then there is a particular syntax, particular type of code that you can write. So like everything is the same. So like I already told you, to print any character, you have to write %c here. Okay, I already told you in the beginning of the lectures. So in the if you write %c here, actually if you are going to get the same character that you have defined here. Okay, a. But if you write %d, it means what it will give. It will give you the sky values of the variable that is stored here, which is a. So it will give you the this particular value 65. So like if you are coding coding something, and if you don't know about it's I'm talking about the real significance. So don't know the sky values of any particular characters, just you can just do this thing, just put %d instead of %c, and it will give you the this number. Okay, so and if you put %c, it will give you just this capital A. So this is the way you can actually know, you can just print out correct sky values of any particular characters. Okay, so you can just like after the lecture, you can just go and run this code, and you can just see how this what the output of this program. And you can actually change this character by like some other character, maybe small f or small z, and just see how these things actually proceeds. Okay, so this is the thing that I want to discuss, and it's a fairly common thing, like if you're studying about sky values. So just wanted to learn, okay, what are the different sky values, what are the different operations I can do. So these things are there. Okay. Okay, so now let's move to this particular thing, the interesting thing, how you can move to this particular x plus y thing. So here what we have done, we have defined two characters, x and y. Okay, and x is the small a, which is the sky value of 97, and b has a small y is small b, which is value of 98. So like x plus y, we are storing it in a variable. So let's first understand what is this x plus y means. So if you will do this operation x plus y, it means what the computer will do. It will take the sky value of x, which is 97, and then it will take the sky values of y, which is 98. Like the sky values of particularly b here, and it will add these particular two things, and it will then give you the output, which is in I think. Like, so it will give the output of by adding those whatever the output is. So I'm telling that ki whatever operations you are performing, it will do the same operation on the sky values of those particular characters. It will not just add the characters. So what it will do at the end, it will be getting outputs at some integer. So whatever the values, it will be getting that particular value as an integer. Okay, so I think 195 will be the value. So this particular thing will be there. Okay, so this is the overall agenda. Whatever the things that you want to do, it will just take the sky values of that particular character, do operations on that particular sky values, and just give you the output. So what this is what I was exactly meaning when I was telling you, you can actually perform some like arithmetic operations on these particular numbers. So here, when this statement is getting executed, it simply means that just take x as 97 and y as 98, and just do the same operation that is defined here, plus. Okay, and if like the result is going to be integer, that's why we are storing this particular thing as an integer. So this is what it precisely means. So let's move to some another example. It's same thing is there. Okay, so we have defined x as a, which is essentially 97 because it has sky value of 97. And if we are defining some another variable z, which is x plus 1, it will just give you 98. Okay, so when you will try to print %dz, it will give you value of 98. But if you will try to print %c and then write z here, like the way you have written, it will give you value of what, a small b. Why this? Because I already told ki means like 98 is the number, it is particularly associated with a character which is small b. Okay, and when you write this %c, it tells the computer ki, okay, what's the character that is associated with 98. So it will like the a scalable is universally defined, so it's not it knows that you are talking about the small b. So because you put a %c, which is the format specifier for a character, that's why we will get a small b here. Okay, so the output will be 98 and a small b. Okay, this \n is just for changing the line, that's I have already discussed. So this will not appear in the output, just it will change the line after 98, and it will give these two values in the different lines. Okay, so this is what %d and %c means with the same particular integer. Okay, guys, is these things making sense? Are you clear with the thing that I'm discussing here right now? Let me know. Anyone? Any questions or anything else? Okay. So it's a simple thing, like just take the sky values, just do the operations that is defined. If you write percent %d, it will give you the integer because percent %d is what we talk about the integer. And if you write percent %c, just it will give you the same thing, character. Okay. So this is what's the overall agenda is. Okay, you can actually, I will share the slide after the lectures. You can actually go and run this code, and you can just experiment with the different x here, writing out some different x, writing some different number, and just try to see what's the output of this particular thing. Okay, just you can do it by yourself. Just it will give some better insight about the languages. Okay. Okay, so after discussing this, we have, discussed the arithmetic operations. But like arithmetic operation is something, we need to discuss something related to arithmetic operations, because these things are very much important. So initially I told you that arithmetic operations can be of three types. So like int plus int, means there can be some operations between integer, means among integer. There can be operations among integer and some float values. So this type of operations, okay, sorry. So this type of operations can also evaluate integer and float values, and there can be some operations among float, means lot of float values. Okay, so these three type of instructions I actually specifically discussed yesterday. So actually these things have some significance, so let me discuss those significance here now, and let's see what this actually means. Okay, so the first thing first. Okay, the thing is that uh, arithmetic operation between an integer and integer, means if we're just trying to do some arithmetic operations between two or three different integers, it will always yield an integer value. Okay, so what this means? Okay, just let's see the first example. 5 divided by 2. So I know, okay, 5 divided by 2 is actually 2.5. Okay, we know all these things. But what's the computer understand that ki any operations conducted between two different integers actually result in integer. So it will do these operations and result is 2.5. But since it is not an integer, it will just give you the, what you can say, this quotient means what you will get when you divide 5 by 2. It will give you the 2 here. That's why the result is 2. But the simple thing, if you want to, if you write this 5.0, okay, this means this is now a float. I told you now what is the float value. Float is something which has some decimal component. Even if it is 0, so then 6.0 is a float, or you can say a real values in terms of C programming. But 6, simply 6 is a integer. So these two things are different in terms of the programming languages. So this thing 6.0 means we are talking about the real values or float values. Okay, but 6 means we are talking about the integer in terms of programming languages, in terms of C. So when you will do 5.0 divided by 2, now it understand that this is operations conducted between a float operator and a integer operator. So I told you, whenever anything connecting between float plus integer, any operations, when someone is float, someone integer, result is always going to be interpreted in the float terms. Okay, means the result is not being an integer. That's why it was conducted, and the result was 2.5, which is itself a float value. That's why you will get the result of 2.5 here. Okay, similarly, if you divide 5 divided by 2.0, then again it's operations between integer and a float, so result will be a float. Similarly, the operations conducted between float and float, so we know that in the operations conducted between different floats is actually a float. So these things, this is why these things are making sense here. So someone actually sent me a program, and she was dividing some number which was less than let's say 500, and she was dividing by 500, and she was getting the result as 0. So she told me actually there is some wrong with the output. This is not wrong, because since both the things are integer, and even you will divide this particular thing by integer, just you are not getting something greater than means the quotient will be 0. Just you can say that if it has been let's say if it has been 575 by 500, then you are just knowing it, we will be getting 1 point something something. The here you will get 0 point something something. So that's why everything is conducted interpreted in terms of integer, and that's why she got the output as 0. So I think Sampurna, did you got your explanation there? Okay. 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 So it was good because she tried to find this thing by herself. And like this is the way it actually you need to understand, because when you will be given some output to some code, and you have to write some output, you have to understand these things, what these things actually means in the programming language. Because when it will interpret some integer as some float as some integer, or maybe some float integer as some float, you will be getting a lot of different answers. So we'll be actually looking towards we'll be seeing how these things actually work. Okay, same thing. What is happening here? Here's to here the two integers are there. So when you will divide two 5, you will get actually 0.4. That's why these things is actually interpreted as 0, because operations between two integer will be conducted means interpreted as an integer. Similarly here, same thing, a float is there and then integer is there. That's why you will get here output as 0.4. And rest things are similarly. Okay, so these things is there that you have to understand while like this is actually called as float and integer conversion. So sorry, so everything depends on like what are the operators means. Obviously we're trying to operate two integers. So in summary, if I want to tell about the summary, the simple thing is that whenever you will conduct operations between two integer, always there will be the result will be integer. But if you will conduct operations between two float, or maybe one float is there, or some other like what you can say other integer is there, everything is going to be the float. Okay, so you can experiment with these things with the program also. So let's say I have defined a is equal to 10 and b is equal to 3, and I have defined c as a float. So since like these two are what, these are the integers. So when you have divided these things 10 by 3, what had happens, it will give you something like 3.3333. But since this operation is conducted between two different type of integers, the result is always going to be the integer. That's why when you will try to print this c, you will get the output as what you can say 3 point something, like obviously it's at 3 because I have stored this particular things in float. That's why you're getting point 0, but obviously it's an integer. But if you just divide 10 by 3.0, you will get the output as 3.33. Like this is also a way to write some instruction inside a printf function. So like percentage, because you are expecting this result to be float, and just write the instruction in the float itself. Okay, so this is also actually a way you can write instruction. So just see this thing clearly in the sorry, printf itself. Okay, so this is also a way to write. So you can see that overall the whole idea is, whenever you will conduct some operations among two integers, result is going to be integer. So that's why you need to be careful, because you may interpret 2.5, you should interpret 2.5 as 2, because here both are integer. But if it's specifically retained that you are conducting operations between 5.0 and 2, because it's an integer. In the for you humans, we know that 5.0 is also similar to 5. But for programming languages 5.0 means it has some decimal component. That's why it's been treated as a real number. So it should not the point of conflict between our human understanding and the programming language. Okay, so this is how the programming language has been designed. So you need to understand the rules. No, so this is the rule actually. Okay, so guys, if you have any problem, then just let me know, or if it's okay, then I can move ahead. Guys, is it okay? Okay, okay, thank you. So let's now move to some advanced. Okay, okay, yeah, yeah, tell. Yeah, yeah, you were audible. Mhm. Okay, so like these type of things are there. So actually, when I used to be coding the C, like 5 years back when I was starting in my first year of BSc, we used to use void main. Okay, because like writing every time return something is actually very, like we used to forget those things. So that's why if you want, you can just write void main, and that is actually good, because these things will, when you will, when I will introduce you the function, just you will know key what's the point here writing int or void. So like usually people write int main, but why what I used to do is I used to write void main, because I did not have to write the return statement before the function. So yeah, you can write the void main. That's void means you don't want to return something, and int means you are returning some integer, so you have to write return 0, return 1. So like some compiler don't make an error for this. So now I wrote this code as int main, and I did not get error, because the thing is that some compilers actually don't throw an error for this particular kind of thing. So basically the fundamental rule is that if you're not returning anything, just you can use void main also. Okay, void main, void. Void means you don't want to return anything, and just you can write your this particular code inside the void main. Okay. No, 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 no. These type of questions, like anything, whatever the questions will be based on inside what is written in this particular thing. Okay, so it's specifically for CMI, like the two three types of questions are made. So it will give in a code snippets, and like specifically the things will be you have to interpret the output. Like there can be some other function, not the internet, some other function defined, and you have to interpret what will be the output of the whole program. You have to simulate by yourself. So like there is a term that is people generally use. So we call it the dry run. So there's term called dry run. Dry run means you don't have computer, you just want to calculate the output by using your thinking, but and on pen paper analysis. So dry run is actually pen paper analysis of any program. So you will not get any program computer to run the program or write the whole program to see what the output is. So you have to do those analysis of what's will be the output by understanding each and every instructions by yourself, and then writing whatever like just you can just say that okay, a will be this, b will be this, and then after this step this will be this, and then finally to arrive at a conclusion. So you have to do the dry run, and that will be about the code that is written inside this particular thing. Okay. So like let's see some other examples also. Okay. So for here, like I told you, you just do some declaration, like you want to define some integer, define some float. So for now, the sake of simplicity, just let's discuss this first example, then we'll come to second example. So what I have been doing here, so like this is called type conversion. Type conversion means you what you did, initialized an integer, like you declared an integer, and but what you at the time of declaration you stored some float value. So let's say you did 24.5. What you did, you declared integer, but you were trying to introduce the float value. So what will happen in that case? Okay, so let's see some actual program. Okay, so I have defined here integer I, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to store a float value. You can see that I'm trying to store 34.5. And similarly, I'm initiating here a float, sorry, declaring a float variables b. I'm trying to initializing with the 4, which is an integer. So what will be the output? Like this code is actually valid, this will not throw an error. And actually when you try to print I, like we will try to print I, which is an integer, it will give an output of 34. So like this thing is fairly simple. Okay, like in programming language, what they do, whatever the whatever the float values you are going to give, it will just take its integer component. So let's say you are writing 26.5, so it will take its integer component only. So if you're trying to store any float values in the integer, it will just give you the what you can say, this particular integer component. So like anything is 0.005, sorry, 0.0005, it will give you the 0 only. So it will just give you the integer component of particular thing. And when you are trying to store integer inside a float value, it will give the same integer, but it will put some like decimal component, which is 00 basically. So these things you have to understood also. Okay, what happens when you try to like do some type conversion. Type conversion means you are trying to convert the type of variables at the time of initialization. So you are declared the I as an int, but you're trying to store a float values. That's why this particular thing is happening. So when you are given a code particular type of this, you need to also understand this what will be the output of this particular code. Because I has been initialized as an integer, that's why it's only the integer component. Okay. Okay, so the same thing has been okay. So the same thing has been I discussed with this particular thing also. So like assume k is an integer. So for this particular problem, we'll assume that k is an integer and a is a float variable. Okay, so means we are just trying to say int k, and we are also having float. What is a? Okay, a. So what we are trying to do, now we are trying to store 2 by 9 inside a k. So what is 2 by 9? Okay, so let's out of aspect. 2 by 9 is some like some decimal component, 0 point something something something. Okay, and what is k? K is an integer. So what I told you, if you're trying to store some float value in the integer, it will just take you the integer component. That's why the result here is 0. Okay, so these things actually made some sense. Okay, Also, like 2 divided by 9 is actually not in float value, it's just a zero, because I told you if you just do some what you can say some arithmetic operations between two integer, and it will going to give you an integer. So basically it's a zero, because you are just trying to get some thing done between two integers. But in the next thing, this is a float and this is a integer, so here the answer is 0 point something something something. But since k is an integer, that's why everything will be getting as an integer component, which is 0. So that's why just let's focus on this particular thing, 9 divided by 2, which is 4. And what's why is it 4? Because it's a both are integer. So k is 4 only, and 9 divided by it's 4.5. But since k is defined as an integer, int k, that's why these things is there. So guys, are these things making sense to you, like how these particular things are getting converted because we have defined k as an integers or a as float? Hmm? Okay, I think someone is writing some message. Okay. So like this particular thing is there. Just like just for the if you just see by like just understand everything by the rule, it will just start everything will start making sense. And the main thing is that like whether if we defined a as and float, just you can see that 2 by 9, which is actually a zero, but like since a is a float, it will just introduce some decimal component, just zero only, because like any integer can be interpreted as a float value. Just put some zero at the end of this particular thing. Okay, so this particular thing is there. Okay, and next thing is that just you can what you can say, just you can interpret everything in the same way. Okay, so like 9 divided by 2 is 4, because why it's 4? Because both are the integer component. And only 9 divided by 2.0, which is a integer and a float value, it will give 4.5. And since a is also a float value, so it will be stored and it will give an output as a 4.5. So like these here two things are coming together. So like I told you the int plus int, actually int means doing some operation among int and with another integer give you an integer, and float with some integer give you the float. Okay, and then we are actually doing the type conversion thing, type conversion at the time of what you can say, when you are just calculating the value and trying to store in an integer. So that's why these things are getting like a two bigger things are coming together to make this result. So these type of questions will be there in the like questions paper. You will just have some set of instructions given based on arithmetic operations. And like these type of things, actually whether it's a int or whether it's a float, can make a lot of difference among the question paper. So like I will really tell you to like try to understand. If you're just not able to get it, you can just like run some code and just see if these things are there. I already told you these are not the things, these are not the rules that I am making, because these things are a part of the programming language. That's why I need to learn, and that's why I need to understand what will be the particular output, because these things are there. These are the rules that you need to learn while learning the programming language. Okay, then just let's move to this another thing. Okay, so like we were discussing a lot of things. Like what is 9 divided by 2, what is 9 divided by 2.0, what is 4 divided by 5.5. So these type of things are always there. But like just let's move one step ahead and just let's see what's there if just I want to consider some complex operations. So let's say I want to do like 9 divided by 2 minus 4 multiply by 5 divided by 6. So what if I want to do this complex calculation in particular C language? Which statement will get which particular operations will get executed first? Like in particular mathematics, we have a rule of this particular thing, board mass. But these type of things actually don't work with the programming language. So programming language has some other rules. So let's discuss those particular rules. Okay, so the rule is fairly simple, and the rule is we have some priority defined. Like we have some defined some priority, like which things, like if a lot of things are coming together, then which thing will be taken to be as a priority. So in the priority list, means multiplication, division, and modulo, which is like this is a percentage sign, and I told you yesterday that this is a modulo operator. So uh, multiplication, division, and modular division are actually in the first in the list. So when like let's say you have to do a simple calculation, 9 divided by 2 minus 5. So here if you want to do something, just a simple thing is that since minus is lower in priority, because second in the second priority, this is addition and subtraction, and the third priority we have equal to. So like something that is written as a equal to this, so these things will be calculated first, then it will be get assigned to the a. So let's say we want to calculate this particular thing, 9 divided by 2 minus 5. So just we need to ask yourself, what's the priority here? So like we know that division is the priority. So what we will do, we'll do this 9 divided by 2, which is 4. You will just say me why it's not 4.5, because both are the integers. If it has been 9 divided by 2.0, then in the term programming languages it would have been 4.5. Okay, so since the case is not here, we're just dividing like this 9 divided by 2. That's why this is 4, and then this particular instruction will be there. Now what will be get executed? We know that they are just single operations, so the answer will be minus 1. So this is the order, this is the thing that you need to follow. If there are multiple operators, then need to see what's the priority, which one is going to get the priority. We will be getting discussing about what if there are multiple operators of the same level. Like here you can see there are two division and one multiplication, and both have the priority one. So what will be happen in that case? Okay, so we will see this thing, how to operate this type of things. Okay, for the sake of simplicity, just understand that if you have just given single operator, then just you can do this type of things on the basis of priority list. So like it may represent, just try to do this thing. C is equal to 4 minus 7 into 2. Okay, or maybe 4 plus 7 into 2. That just do the multiplication first and then just proceed to your things. Or maybe 4 plus 7 modulo 2. So that just take the modulo here, which is 1, and then just add to 4 and just get the result. So you can now do the simple calculation. At least you can do the simple calculation. So we will just discuss what to do if you have like multiple type of operators on the same level. So guys, is this thing clear now? That's what I've been discussing till now. Okay. Okay. Now let's just see some rules. Like basic rule. If there are more than one set of parentheses, like in mathematics, that parentheses things are actually get executed inside. That means like if there is something like 7 plus 2 divided by what you can say 2 modulo 5 minus 7, you can just say that these particular things will get executed on the priority basis. Okay, so the thing is that whatever in the parentheses, the operation within the innermost parentheses would be performed first. This means, let's say, just okay, just let me construct a simple arithmetic operation based on parentheses. So like this, I want to write something like this: 2 plus bracket 2 minus 2 plus 2, uh, maybe some like some other thing, multiply by 2 and then minus 4. Okay, if you want to do this type of thing. So the simple thing, this rule is saying that whatever is in the innermost bracket, innermost parenthesis, like in programming world, bracket, like this bracket particular thing, or maybe this particular thing, or maybe this bigger bracket, these things are actually termed as parentheses. Okay, so parentheses means I'm talking about this particular bracket. Okay, so just for the sake of simplicity, just understand it, parentheses means bracket. So if this instruction is given to calculate, the simple rule is that first of all, whatever it in the inner bracket or inner parenthesis innermost, it will be getted computed at first. Okay, then the outermost layer, and inside the everything, like inside everything, the same rule will get executed. So just let me just do some simple calculation here. So like next step, what will be 2 plus like 2 minus this will be 4, 4 multiply by 2 minus 4. So what this particular thing is, 2 minus 4 multiply by 2. So one may ask, what is the order which will be getting executed first? Follow the same priority rule. Okay, follow the same priority rule. So these things is always there. Just follow the bracket also, and inside the bracket same rule will be, same hierarchy rule will be applied. So these things are called hierarchy of operations. Why this is called hierarchy of operations? Because there is some priority associated with each operators. We will be discussing what will happen if multiple operators like this come in the way. Like there are multiple operators, so will we see that particular thing. Second thing is that we always remember to use pairs of parentheses. So like whenever you're writing a program, just don't like like you are using some particular bracket, and then just go closing the bracket, and somewhere you forget to close the third bracket. So these type of things will throw an error. So you will just when you will just not close the parentheses, you will be getting error in while writing the code. So when you initialize a bracket, just don't forget to close it, because it will give you an error. Okay, uh, That's why it's called a careless imbalance of left and right parenthesis is a common error. So when like when I was learning the programming 5 years ago in BSc first year, actually we made a lot of error. Like when there are a lot of complex arithmetic operations involved, we used to like do a lot of this parenthesis error. That's why I remember that this particular thing is a common error, and it's been with everyone who try to learn coding for the first time. Okay. Okay, so just we'll be discussing more things related to this particular hierarchy of operation. Just let's move ahead. Okay, so the main thing is now the associativity of operators. So this thing is what I was talking about. When an expression contain two operators of equal priority, like I told key, this let's focus on this thing, particular thing. Okay, so you can see that here there are multiple, this division, this multiplication, and this division are on the same priority list. As you can see that there are every multiplication, division, and modulo is the same first priority. So which one should we get executed first? So there is a rule made for that, and which is called associativity of operators. So that rule means so it has two types: left to right, either proceed left to right or proceed right to left. Okay. So what's this thing means? What is left to right? What is this right to left? Okay. So this particular thing means ki, like a left to right associativity means just proceed this way. Okay, just proceed this way, and whatever comes first just get executed first. Okay. So for the sake of simplicity, just let's see this small example. Okay, we know that division and multiplications are in the same priority list, and their associativity operators is left to right. So like there is a this is a rule. This is not I am making this is you have to remember. Whenever you are just stuck with a different this multiplication, division, or modulo sign, you have to move left to right. So just let's move left to right. Okay, we're trying to move left to right, and it means we first encounter this division symbol. So just we will do this operation. Okay, we'll just do this operation. So 3 divided by 2 means 1 because both are integer. So the next line will be 1 into 5, which is equal to 5. Okay. So this is the thing that you need to remember. Okay, so here you can also see that okay, here what we can do, just do the same thing. So just move from left to right, because in multiplication type of thing, multiplication division type of thing, you have to follow the left to right rule. Left to right means you have to move from left to right, towards the right, and just see what's the first particular thing is, and then follow the same priority. Okay, just we move and we just let me solve this for you. And we can just in the next step, just 9 divided by 2 is 4, minus 4 into, just in next stage we will be same. Okay, now what at this stage will be, we can just move to the same thing, but like when we move we find that minus is a lower priority, we have some higher priority thing. So here you can see that there is a multiplication symbol, and there is also division symbol, but we have to follow the rule of left to right. So 4 minus this particular thing is calculated, then divide by 2. Now minus is there and division there, which is obviously division is of the higher priority. So we'll conduct this thing first. So 4 minus what this thing is 14, and at the next thing just we need to do single operation, which is minus 10. So this particular thing you need to follow. Okay, the same particular rule you need to follow. Okay, so this is called associativity operator. So what is the rule? Rule is that if you just encounter this particular thing, the associativity is left to right. Okay, plus minus also left to right, no problem. Just 1 minute. Okay, so left to right also, but like in division, in equal to, it's called right to left. Okay, so what this particular thing means, just I have given you an example yesterday also. So there I wrote ki a is equal to b is equal to c is equal to d is equal to 10. So what this particular thing is means, it does not means you have to do from left to right. It means right means for the equal to, the rule is the right to left. So what right to left means, first 10 will be, we will moving from the right towards the left. So 10 will be getting assigned to D. So D is equal to 10. Now C is equal to D. So C will be also getting 10. B is equal to C. So B will be also getting 10. And A is equal to B. So A will be finally getting the 10. And if it would had been left to right, it will actually throw out an error, because A is equal to B means B is going to be equal to what's the A is. But you know that A is has not been initialized there with anything. That's why the particular thing is that the rule for this equal to is right to left. So there are multiple equal to just follow the rule of right to left, just move from right towards the left. Okay, so we will be discussing some more examples based on that. So just two things, remember, associativity has two types, left to right or right to left. And in particular multiplication division type of thing, so we need to follow left to right, and for the plus minus follow the left to right, but for the equal to thing follow right to left. There are multiple other operators also, just we will be seeing everything as we proceed through the course. Okay, but these things are fundamental arithmetic operators. So just let me give you another example so that you get clarified before moving to any question. So like I'm taking a long arithmetic operations. Okay, just same thing, there are multiple types of priority one operations, like multiplication, division, then again division. There are other types of things. So what's the rule? The rule is fairly simple. If there are multiple things, what you need to do, just move from left to right, because this particular thing into division and modulo, just follow this rule of left to right in the associativity. It's a rule made by the like programming languages. So what we'll do, just we'll do this calculation, 2 multiplied by 3 6, and just repeat the same thing. Then this particular instruction is done, we have this particular division, just in the next step we'll do the same step. And then we'll write everything else the same way. Then we again move to the division, plus and division. So like plus is the lower in the priority, that's why we'll just move to the next instruction, which is division. We'll conduct the same thing, then again just do this particular division, and then finally just operate the whole thing. So like operating the whole thing also means different. Like at this point you can see that everything is plus and minus, so it does not matter in which order you are going to add, but this does not happens. Like I told you, if there are multiple operations related to plus minus also, the rule is still proceed from left to right. Okay, that's why this particular thing 1 plus 1, sorry, this 1 plus 1 is getting executed first, and then you get a new set of instruction. Here what you need to do, there are still plus minus different instruction. So what you will do, just move from left to right, and then do the calculation. So you move left to right here also, you find that 8 plus 2 10. Then again you just move left to right, you find 10 minus 2 is 8. Then 0 will still continue, and in the next step we will getting this 8 as an answer. So this is the long procedure that happens with the programming. It's not like like in the human thing, we know that there are plus minus, so add in any order. But with programming languages, we need to follow the left to right, whether it's plus minus or there are different types of operators. Okay, guys, so let me know if it's clear now, because this is a complex example that I've given, and it's fairly like dedicates, fairly explain the rules that I'm talking about. So it's clear now, anyone? So like these things are actually very much important, because told na ki, like in a book that I told about, let us see. And there are some additional book that I have, I will actually sending the PDF, like maybe I will send the screenshot of the problems if I will, or maybe I will make a PDF and just I will send you. So these things are like actually tracking and tracking output of any code. So these things are actually very much important. If you just understand these two things, one is hierarchy that I uh, just explained in the last class, sorry, last slide. And then, so this is hierarchy, and the next thing is the associativity. So this particular thing that if you understand, uh, you can just write the output of any code. So just don't forget to, just don't try to follow the board mass rule that we have in the mathematics. So these things will not work. Just try to stick with the words of programming ones. It's like maybe some person get reasonable ki, Arey, how can this type of things happen in mathematics? We have different rules. Okay, math is different thing, programming is different thing, but like this is the way things has been designed. So we need to follow this type of rules. Okay. uh, Okay, so let's move to some other thing, and this is fairly simple. So if you understand the hierarchy and like sensitivity, so this means how to like what type of conversion means. Like we have an algebraic expression, and you want to convert into a C expression, means C arithmetic operations. If you want to convert, so what's the thing that you need to do? Okay, so A into B minus C into D. So if you want to write this thing in algebra, in C it means that this type of thing, particular thing. Okay, so m plus n into a plus b. So like in mathematics we know that if you don't put anything beside any symbol, multiplication is assumed. So if you like m in mn, we understand that it is talking about m into n. But in mathematics, sorry, in programming, it does not work. You have to explicitly write m star n. That's why this thing will be understood. That's why like this particular algebraic expression has been written as m plus n. then a star symbol is given, then a plus b, and inside the bracket, because here is also a bracket thing. Okay, so this is how you can actually think of this way. So like you are writing this particular equation, like the equation is 3x square or 2x plus 5. So if you want to write 3x square or 2x plus 5 into some C language, that these things mean 3. Here into is hidden, so that's why into x. So these things mean 3x square plus 2 into x plus 5. So like if you're trying to find writing a program to find the root of any particular programming language, so you need to write the equation in this way. You just can't write this thing particularly this way. Okay, so these things is had to be translated in this way by using the multiplication and additional symbol. Okay, in math in C also there is a function called pow. So pow means if you want to calculate, let's say, x to the power 7. So you can actually calculate some power by using the power function. So what you need to give here, just give here x and just give here 7. So it will calculate x to the power 7 for you. So let's say x is equal to 2. So this thing will give 2 to the power 7. So we will just see some inbuilt function like power or some other function like abs is there, which is absolute. Like you want to take a minus x is there, you want to take the modulo of this particular thing. So there is another function, and there is also other function like uh, I don't remember, but there are other mathematics related function that we will be just seeing in a particular library, particular lecture. Okay, so this thing you have to remember how you have to translate this particular thing into C instruction. So a plus b plus c divided by d plus e had to be written in this way, and this particular complex instruction had to be written in this way. So it's initially means that 2by divided by d plus 1 minus x divided by 3 into z plus y. So like it may happens that in a particular CMI paper, you will be given this particular type of thing, and they will like this particular thing, not the programming thing will be given, and they may give like value for y, b, z, d, and y, and they will say ki just write the output. So like if you are able to transform this into algebraic expression and vice versa, you can know ki how to write this particular thing in this way, and then plug the value and just get the answer. Okay, so that's why like I'm explaining, because these things are the component of a bigger questions, and that's how like you'll be developing the style of problem solving if you just know this basic kind of thing. Okay, so I think this is also fairly clear with everyone. Mhm. Guys. Okay. 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 So like I have been put here some practice problem. So this practice problem is for you. So in the last thing, I actually discussed a lot of things related to like this character and how to this in this particular class I discussed how to this x plus one, x plus y, this particular type of thing. So you can do this type of things also. Yeah. Yeah. Just explain. Yeah. This one. No. Like in programming language, you are writing something as capital B. It means that like it means that this is capital B is different from a small b. So like programming language are case sensitive. So like for us human, it's B, but like you can just write capital B also. But if you're defining two variable as this way, it will actually treated as a different thing. So just you can write capital B. That's not a problem. Okay. Okay, the slide gave me 1 minute. I will just coming back. Okay, so this is the problem that I was talking about. He just like this particular writing the output of this particular two things, and just don't try to run this code because just you need to just see like how whatever the knowledge that you have till now. So on the basis of that, how can you actually like how you can actually do these things? Okay, and this is the particular third question is about this particular third question about writing a program to take input from the user and print its sky value. So like I wrote written that you are having a, but it was defined, predefined. So character, some character was defined. What you need to take input from user, and you actually need to print the sky values of that particular character. So these three basic, fairly simple questions that you can just brainstorm on. Just you can do that, and like I have given some solution to this particular first or second questions, and third program is simple also that you can do. So just try to do these things by your own, and let's see whether you get correct answer or not, and then just try to evaluate yourself. Okay, we'll be having a separate practice problem session on the next class, and we're discussing a lot of problems also. And like from the next class, means after the practice problem session, we will have some other session on like if else statement and the for loop and all other things. We will move into some advanced concept. So these three basic session was dedicated to the basic concept, and now you can actually write some code by yourself also. Now you also understand this like integer manipulations, like how these things actually works. Okay, so do this thing also. Like there's a also practice problem. So like this is a fairly simple problem. So like you have to point out the errors in this following C statement. So if there is an error, you have to point out this is error. So do you think is there any error in the first statement? Anyone? Yeah, because it will. Yeah, yeah, like we actually discussed that there are some keyword that don't need to take it as a variable. So like int is a keyword, so you can't take it as a variable name. Okay, so what about this particular thing? This will this give an error? Sorry. Yeah, it means, oh yeah, that particular thing is there. So let's say here character is written. So do you think any error will be there or not? Yeah, yeah, that's important. Like this, I think that this should be in the same direction. Okay, and this is particularly uh, yeah, these things actually are last in the class that I was talking about. Someone actually is there. I written that a, and we had some in the same direction, and then we had a which had different direction. So actually someone told, that's why this thing is there. Okay, why, what is the error with this particular thing? So like I told ki you cannot have. Yeah, 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 so you can't have multiple thing in the left side. Okay, and what's the error with this particular thing? Yeah, yeah, that is there. Yeah, and also like if you want to write something, you have to put a star here in the between, because it specifically means that you want to multiply something. So it's not it's not assumed by ourselves in the C, because you have to write explicitly. And what about this particular thing? Yeah, definitely. You can't have a space between the variables. Okay, so like when you will get to the first chapter of letter C, you will find a lot of problems. There are some MCQ problems. There are some problems of output. There are some other problems of like this type of errors, and there are some also questions of to write some code. So in the meantime, like for Saturday and Sunday we have off. So meanwhile, I also try to get some other problem for you for the next problem solving class. And meanwhile, like you can go to that particular book. I think someone shared the PDF. That's good. And you can do some questions by yourself, and like you can just see how these things are actually working. And I'll also provide you the recording, and also like the slide of this particular thing. And I think you all are making a fairly good progress. So I just told ki last class means the next class will be on the problem solving thing. Also like I explicitly told some of you that ki means I am developing actually a website where you can actually access these courses. So like that particular website is means it's live, it's having access. But the main thing is that I have to do some like any user can log in, any user can register. So I have to restrict those things, because since you have registered for this course, so you should have access for this kind of thing. So I think I'll be able to give you the access of this site in on maybe next 4 to 5 days. Till then, I'll be sharing the link of recording by separate. So like that particular site has everything structured. Like whenever I take the slide, also the recording, I also upload there, and also upload the slide with it. and if any problem session will be there, I will also upload its recording and the question. So this thing will be a structured thing that you can also use for your revision purpose later if you have some confusion. And till now you are all making great progress, and I am very happy that some of you are actually approaching me with some problems, and that's good, like you have to keep trying by yourself also. So this is for this week, guys, and I think this week was actually very very important because we started with very basic thing, and we actually you all actually make a good progress. So like if you have any questions, then just let me know.